Today I'm going to show you how to take and make a slab cup out of clay. Okay? You're going to take these two things right here. They're just paint mixers. They're going to decide how thick our piece of clay is going to be. What we're going to do is first we're going to make this piece that's going to be the outside part of your clay. You're going to take a piece of clay that I give you about this size right here, and you're going to set it in the middle like this, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take the roller like this, okay? And you're going to start at the end and roll all the way down. So you're going to kind of roll it out to get it kind of like that, just like you would a cake. Start back at the end, roll it some more. If you run into a big hump like that, just kind of roll over and push it down. So back and forth and back and forth. And you know you're at the right level whenever your stick actually hits this bottom right here. So you see I can roll that all the way off and it might stick to your stick some. If that happens, tear that piece off. You're going to have some extra clay anyway. Okay, keep going. Where the blue line is, that's how wide you want this piece in a minute. So I'm going to roll it a little bit that way. Then I'm also going to turn it this way and kind of roll it a little bit because I want it to widen out a little bit. So once again, I keep these things here. The same thing. So see how that kind of widens my clay a little bit? Notice I'm not trying to make one area too flat too soon. I want to kind of keep it the whole way. If I end up with a thicker piece like that, pull that off, set it to the side. Okay, now I can pick it up. You might want to pick it up, see what the underside's looking like. Okay. Now we can take this, roll it out to get a little bit more length. You want this ideally as wide as the stick from here to here from this blue mark. So see that's wide enough, that's getting wider, that's better. But you also want it about as long as from one end of the stick to the other. So let's get a little bit more length out. Now we'll take a turn this way. If some paper comes off in yours, that's okay. Don't worry about it. That paper will burn off and you'll never even see it in your final pot, okay? That's going to happen. So let's take this. Now what these sticks do on the end right here is they keep this from getting too thin because this right here hits that, so it can't get any lower than these sticks are. So that's how you make sure you have a nice even slab of clay, okay? So keep rolling, keep widening this out as much as possible. A little bit wider. I'm trying to get this part down here as wide as possible on one end. Okay, let's see, we'll get a little bit more out of this. Oh yeah, that's really sticking. So see, that shouldn't for the most part peel off. Don't worry about that stuff right there. If you have to, you can kind of move spots. So I'm going to move up a little bit more. Try to come up here and see what I got. I'm just about thin enough. Now you'll notice this is kind of a real funky shape, right? So what you do is then you take the same tool you measured with and you want to make a straight line. So you find the edge where you can get this straight all the way across. I don't want to cut out here because if I put it right there, I'm going to have gaps, right? So I come where I can make this go all the way across. So probably about right there. So see, I can get from end to end, right? So I'm going to just take that, just press it down into the clay, just to kind of make a mark, and then to actually cut it. Okay, we'll see. If not, I don't want to do it again. All right, so you see where the blue line is? So that's where you want to be. Now with this one, I didn't quite get wide enough right here on this end. So let's see. I'm going to mark it right there. Maybe take something so I know. So when I put this on, I want to get as much length out of it as I can. So you see, down here I'm left with a little bit more. So what's going to mean is I'm going to have to pull this cup in a little bit. And this cup just won't be quite as high as that other one. I made that mark a little higher than necessary. So if you run into this, it's still going to make a nice cup. Don't freak out, think yours is going to be small by any means. It's still going to be pretty nice, okay? So cut that and that. I want to do the same with the ends now. So I know where my end is. So I'm going to take this up here. Cut off at that end so it's nice and straight. Come down here. Cut off with this end's nice and straight, okay? So I got those two pieces. Extra clay I'm going to ball up. Then I'm going to take what I have left over, all right? And you're going to see you can take it and wrap it around like this right here. So see how that begins to make a nice cup shape? So from here what you do is you take these two pieces and you overlap them like that. So you can see my overlapping. Then while they're like that, you take your hand, support it. See, it's going to want to flump down on you a little bit because the clay's wet. But then you blend it together like this right here. You want to do it really nice on the inside, okay? Any little groove you have, if you plan on actually drinking out of this, will be a groove that will either be sharp when you clean it or will hold contaminants like burnt milk or something like that. Okay, so see, I can kind of do the outside. Now you don't have to hold it in your hand to do that. You can leave it on the table and do it, but don't forget about the outside too, okay? That way you get your strength. Always support your clay with this hand on the inside when you press against it. That way it doesn't lose its form too bad, okay? Now you'll see that kind of looks a little bit rough right now, but once I get all that kind of in, I can begin to take that, kind of smooth it off. And you'll see, even though this cup wasn't as tall as what I had marked, it's still a pretty decent sized cup. Okay? Even compared to this Newt's cup, pretty close to the same size, okay? So we got that part. Alright, so that's out of the way. Now we take this piece, set it to the side for a minute, okay? Then I'm going to grab me a new piece of clay, okay? Now with this piece, you're not going to need quite as much of it. What you're going to do with this piece is the same kind of thing. You can actually just do this with your hand like I showed you with the coil pot. But we're going to take this, cups and stuff out of the way, and kind of roll it into a nice flat piece as well, okay? This is going to be the base of our pot. Now we didn't do our base first because we want to let our cup decide how wide our base is, okay? And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So you'll see really quickly, a little bit smaller, I got a nice smooth base right there, okay? Then I can take this, I'm going to set it down on there, just like that. I'm going to take any tool I have. I like this little tool. And I'm going to go and I'm going to trace around the outline like this right here, okay? Just like that. Alright. Check and make sure your cup's at a nice, if you have to round it off a little bit. Okay, so then when I pick that up, I have the shape of my cup. So then I can take any tool, either one of these will work, and just follow that line. I'm actually probably going to cut it with this tool. Either one will work, but you want to cut through there. I cut about that much off, then I make a slit so I can pull that out of my way. Oop. Pulled a little bit too much off. Go ahead and cut all the way through there. Okay, set that to the side, and I'm left with this nice piece right here. Now you'll see my table's getting a little messed up, but if you try to do this on the wood, it will stick and it won't come off, okay? So, now I'm ready to put this onto here, okay? But I can't just set it on there. I've got to take the same tool, and you've got to do what's called scoring it. A lot of y'all will probably remember this from last year or from last time, but scoring is just making these little cuts. It's going to lock the two pieces of clay together like that, okay? So I'm going to score around this edge, okay? Try to stay kind of as near the edge as possible. Then I'm also going to score this little bit of an edge down here at the bottom. Now when you do this, be careful because your cup will flump down. Okay, it would be nice if it could sit and dry and stiffen for a minute, but we won't have that luxury. So we're going to kind of get that on there. Then you're going to take your water, dip your fingers in there. You're not trying to give this thing a bath, just a little bit of moisture. Okay, that's about it right there. Then you can take this, stick it on there, get it kind of all kind of matched up, and then you've got to do the same thing we did before. You've got to blend all this in. So what I'm going to do is take from start at the bottom, and I'm going to blend this straight up into this cup right here, okay? So I'm going to go around that way. Got most of that side. Then gently pick up, turn around where you can see it. Going all the way around my cup. Now remember, you want to make sure this is a good seal if you plan on drinking or holding water in this. If you don't do that, cup's going to leak. Still be a nice little pencil holder or something, but you try to put anything liquid in there, and it's going to leak. Alright, so that's good, that's good. Checking my seam. Okay. So even around right here. You can go down with it as well with the clay if you want to do that. So that looks pretty good. Now I'm also want to try to get my finger around on the inside of there. If you can't reach that, because my big old hands I can't, that's where these little tools come in handy. Little end tool right here. You can kind of get in there. It's going to be probably hard for you to see in the video, but I can kind of go around and kind of mush those two pieces of clay together right there, and that'll kind of make that seal in there. The most important seal is the outside part. If you can reach your hand around in there and do it, that's good. My hand's a little too small for this, but that's okay. So you'll see, I can check my outside a little bit. Looks like there might be, no, that looks pretty good. Okay, so I got that far. Now the only last thing I have to do is make a handle, okay? Because I do want a handle on my pot, alright? So with the handle, I'm going to come right over here to this nice clean spot. Same thing again. That's why they call this slabs. You're rolling slabs of clay. So with this piece, I'm going to take something like that. I want this relatively thin. So I want it about that wide, okay? Because I don't want a big fat handle I can't grab. I'm just going to take this same little thing. Okay. I want to make sure I don't bump my cup. Alright. Basically just take it and begin rolling it out. Now you don't have to have this piece super long. Because you don't need a long piece for a handle, but you do want a pretty nice, pretty thin one. So, okay. Oops. Sometimes it will catch on there and roll up like that does. Okay, so get a little further out. Okay, and I can take my same tool again. I would try to keep a nice straight edge, so just like we did in perspective, use your ruler to draw it. That'll help you get a nice straight edge there. There's not really a perfect length. I would probably say if you want to measure, that's going to be a little on the short side. If you want to use that actual measurement right there, keep it longer. You can always cut off whatever you don't use, okay? So you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off so it's nice and even right there. Okay, nice and even right there. Now as far as how wide to make it, that's up to you. If you got a big hand, you'd want a big one. If you got a little small hand, you might want a thin one. I think mine are ideally about right there. I try to think about my thumb. Okay, because my thumb's going to probably, or either this part of my finger is going to hold it, so I can measure from here to here. That's mainly what's going to hold your cup right there. So if you want to kind of put your finger on there and guess, that seems to work for me right there. Once again, it can be a little shorter, thinner, whatever. It's all good. But you want a piece about like that. Then what you do, okay, same thing we did a while ago. Since we're attaching two places, we're going to score. With your handle, where you want to put it is somewhere not right at the top, somewhere a little lower. So if this sits upside down, your handle won't hit the bottom, because you might want to wash these or set them in a counter somewhere. I'm going to score it like that a little bit. Okay, take my end, make sure it's kind of flat right there. I'm going to score it as well. Okay, then I'm going to dip my finger in my water cup. Once again, not a lot of water, just a little bit. Just get some moisture. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to stick the two together right here first on this piece. Now when I do that, I want to kind of press and wiggle. I want a good smooth edge. Now I'm noticing I'm supporting on the inside. That way I don't change my shape. Then from there, you can kind of take these two pieces and kind of push them in a little bit. So that way you kind of weld those together. You don't have to do it all the way around, but it does help to strengthen that, okay? Because that's going to be the strong part of it. You want that to adhere right there. Then with the rest of this, you really just kind of take it, wrap it around like that so it kind of becomes a question mark. If you want to look at it more like a question mark like that, that's fine. Either way. But then you don't want to take this and just stick it right on there. Kind of let this bend. See how that makes a nice bend right there? And then do the same thing. Once you kind of know where it's at, you can take this tool, lift that out of the way. I'm going to score it again. You got to score for them to attach. I'm going to score the underside of this. Now if this clay's not super moist and you start bending this edge like this, you'll see that'll crack on you. You got to be careful with that. So then we're going to take the two pieces. Now with this, if you press really good right here, notice that I got my hand on the inside to support it, you can kind of rub those in, okay? We don't want to get too thin with it, but rub those in. Then if you got any outside sharp edges, you might want to rub it as well. Then you can kind of just shape your handle up as much as you want to. Go back and make sure your cup's the right shape that you like it. And you've got a relatively pretty nice, pretty quick slab cup, okay? From there, we can do all kind of decorations. I'm going to show you one real quick thing to do, especially if you have leftover clay. Okay? Pause. Okay, I'm going to have something for you about like this right here. It's called a press mold. All you'll do is you'll take a piece of clay, make sure it's nice and kind of smooth. You don't want it wet at all, not wet at all, or it'll stick. Then you can take this and press it into here. Now this is a little gator I've got. Okay, but you can take this guy, start in the middle because that's the deepest part, press out until you get about where you want it, okay? Then you can take that, once you kind of got it all pressed out good, lift it up and you'll see you got a little baby gator. From there you can take it, set that to the side, kind of cut it out ever how you want to. I would recommend the smaller tool I used to score with a while ago, maybe for this. Cut it the shape you want to. If you want to get it a little closer, you can. That's totally up to you. Okay, but it makes a nice little medallion. Kind of trim it up a little bit. But then, think about what hand. If you're going to hold with this hand, you want it on this side. If you're going to hold with